whenever you visit a hospital, stand at the billing counter and you will see that people who have insurance, the way they walk in, get the best doctor, best treatment, and walk out compared to the ones who don't have. They're struggling to figure out how to make that payment. And there are many, because they can't afford, they don't go to good hospital, good doctors, they may actually die. So it's a question of life and death. It's a question of dignity. And for a cost of what? Less than a dinner for your family in a year. For that, you want to compromise on your dignity and the question of life and death. Is that critical?
Tapan, thank you so much for joining for this conversation today. You are based in Pune and we're hearing like Pune is in complete lockdown. It's tough time. We are all going through crisis. I want to understand from you, Tapan, what are some of the key learnings which you are deriving, some of the critical learnings while we are experiencing this pandemic?
So I think there are many learnings here, Shradha, not one. I think huge, and every day is a huge learning. First and foremost, whenever a crisis happens, the biggest learning is how do you face it? If it overwhelms you, then it's very difficult. Or does it excite you? It is difficult, and it is not something that is easy. Let's understand this. But my personal feeling in life is that if something overwhelms you, however difficult it may be, it kind of cripples you. So the biggest learning is when you see a crisis, always try to see how can you be enthusiastic about the crisis, in spite of how difficult the crisis may be. How can you be, super excited about the crisis in spite of how difficult it may be? I think that is an attitude which we have to have. Otherwise, if you see, when have we seen such a prolonged crisis? If you look at, even if we had a cat event or floods happening or maybe an earthquake happening or whatever, but it is always very short duration. For a prolonged, long time, if you're in a situation of crisis, this, I think, every individual in the world would be facing for the first time. So how do you manage that when you see a prolonged crisis happening? How as an individual do you manage that is very, very critical. That is the first learning. The second learning was, as an insurance industry, I think I've always been pushing for digitalization. And I believe that customer experience is very, very critical, and we have to deliver high quality experience. I think I've spoken about it in the past also. The insurance industry, especially GI industry, general insurance industry, is bleeding to death, with a combined ratio of 118%, which means these guys are paying claims like through their nose. But if you ask a common person what is his or her view about the industry, they will say they don't pay claims. It's so ironical now. So the basic reason why this happens is, Shradha, because of the process of payment of claims, which again is also right in its own way, because the insurance industry tries to take care that fraudsters don't take money of the common person, while the common person feels that they treated me as a fraudster. That's a different story altogether. So we push digitalization, made process very easier. If you're an automobile customer, if you claim, you get on the car, click pictures, upload, 10 minutes time, we transfer money to you. We made all that, and we're super excited that we have done so much, and this is going to change the industry. But it didn't change the industry. The uptake was very, very low. So I was thinking, like, what is that's going wrong? In fact, before the lockdown, actually, I was in Singapore. I was trying to check the industry there. There also, they told me 95% is paper. So I was seriously thinking, where am I missing? When COVID happened, overnight, the uptake was huge. We should close to 30 lakh policies, settle close to 12 lakh claims, all digitally. Overnight, the adoption happened. It was so amazing. So the second learning is always be ready. Adoption will happen. If you have good, if you've done something good, services are good, and you have got ease into the process, don't get disappointed. Adoption will happen. It takes time. It takes some circumstances. That was the second learning which happened. The third learning which again happened was that if you look at the product mix, if you look at what was necessary for customer, let's say if I look at the pre-COVID era, everybody is betting money on sharing economy, sharing room, sharing cars, sharing whatever, restaurant space. Suddenly, one day, the entire, what was the hottest pick of businesses disappears. So business models can change overnight. So every business model changes, brings in some new business models. So how do you adopt? How do you bring to that? So I can go on and on, Shradha. I think there's so many learnings that I would say in a crisis which comes through. If you're open to it, it is amazing.
Tapan, I want to ask you about this Corona Coverage health insurance policy that you've launched. Tell us about that. What's Corona Coverage?
Okay, so I think the regulator has taken a very positive step, and they have come out with standardized cover for corona. And I would say the general insurance industry and the health insurance industry actually stood up to it. See, the interesting part was nobody was ready to provide you reinsurance also, because you do not know how many losses happen. This is not something which actually you can actually predict. Based on some data, you try and predict how to price it and how. So when the regulator came out with such guidelines, I think hats off to the general insurance industry and the health insurance industry. They took the challenge on and they came out with the products. And actually I'm proud of them. In these times of need, it is something which should be made available to customers.
Yeah.
But the point we should remember here is that they don't have support from the reinsurance. It's all on the net. So in a way, somewhere also I feel that, and this is what I'm proposing also from a government perspective also. When you have such kind of things happening, and insurance industry ready to take the first step forward to be able to serve customers. Somewhere at the back end, there should be a provision by the government or something. If things go out of control, they'll be also supporting that.
Yeah.
Then actually it becomes much better. So this would be my suggestion, and because I think your channel is being viewed by so many people, and that's why I thought, let me make it a point here. From insurance industry perspective, yes, they have come out with a product, and they're also servicing the customer well, and they're ensuring that they're able to cover as many people as possible. But somewhere at the back end, they don't have any support from anybody, which I don't think is good. In a situation like this, the people require such kind of cover. There should be a back end support from the government, is my feel.
You are an expert in this domain. Like that in a country where we have automobiles insured, and when you buy today an automobile, you have a cover, you have an insurance. Why are people in our country, why don't we all have an insurance?
Okay, this is very close to my heart. I've been a hardcore insurer all my life, and by education, I'm a scientist. So you get a scientist and you ask him such questions, you are calling for trouble. We'll speak for hours now. So okay, let me explain this, because this is again a problem. Like the previous problem I told you, about this combined ratio and the public perception. That was one I was trying to solve. This also is trying to solve. If I look at insurance products, not about my company, I'm talking about any company. Look at the product. They're amazing products. Yeah. For the price that is available, it's unbelievable. Like you take an auto insurance in US, it may cost you from somewhere from 12% to 25% of the value of your car in a year. Here you pay something like 1.25%, or 1.5%. Look at health insurance. You try and take a health insurance in Europe or US, it may cost you 13-14 lakh rupees a year, if you take a good cover. Here, how much does it cost you? 15,000 rupees a year. But look at the price point, the kind of product that you are getting. It's unbelievable, and the kind of protection it takes care of something goes wrong. Let's look at COVID itself. Now the expense of COVID, you're hearing it's touching 8 lakh, somewhere 10 lakh, but average also about 1.5-2 lakh rupees of cover is there, which means that the servers of insurance companies should be crashing for health insurance, because and anybody can get it. Like you cannot predict who is going to get it, who is not going to get it. Anybody can get it, but it is not happening. In the month of April, the retail health growth was -3% of the industry. So the funny part is that for a product which is priced so well and has amazing benefits, and insurance companies are paying, and the evidence of it is the balance sheet of insurance companies, people, why are they not queuing to buy insurance? I think that is the question which has to be answered. So I was thinking about it a lot, and over time also I was watching this. Then I realized that most countries, not only in India, if you look at what is mandatory by law, is what has highest penetration. So in India, if you look at automobile insurance, it has the highest penetration. It's mandatory to have a third-party cover by law. So if you look at, even then, in private cars, about 80-85%, in two-wheelers, about 30-odd%, commercial vehicle, about 65%. Even then, it's not fully insured. In a country like Indonesia, where it was not mandatory by law, automobile insurance was about 15% covered. You look at home insurance, in US, if you're in US, I can bet 95% people have a home insurance cover there, because of the mandatory for the flood, storm, tempest cover. Same people who have home insurance in US, when they come to India and they would get a home insurance 1/10 of the cost, they don't have a home insurance here. So first and foremost, insurance is critical, is required. And that's why a government partnership along with insurance companies is very critical. And to give you an example, the Prime Minister health scheme, the national scheme, you see how beautifully it is done. You have covered 40 crore people, tenders happen, insurance companies participate, no? And state can also have the right to do their own trust-based model. And they're serving 40 crore people, no? So insurance and government have to work together to be able to provide good benefit to the citizen of the country. That is the first rule. As individual, why don't we buy? Because if you look at the human brain, and this question I asked my psychiatrist friend, no, and that he answered this way back, and that's why it's such a funny answer. The human brain is not wired to see risk. So let me again define how it is. If you're wired to see risk, we are not moved from the caves. And the younger you are, the more you're not wired to see risk. And I can prove it to you also, Shradha. If I take you back to much younger days than what you are now, the way you'd be driving your two-wheeler or four-wheeler at a speed to what you drive now, there would be at least 30, 40% point.
Yeah.
And then if you come to my age, then it will be much, much lower, no? So what happened? Did you change? No. That the younger you are, the more you don't see the risk. Now, as human brain, you're not wired to see risk. Even in front of you, you feel mujhe nahi hone wala, no? Let's say COVID also. Why is COVID happening and multiplying so fast? It's a simple thing. Wear masks, maintain social distancing, wash your hands. Nahi hoga. No? Fir bhi kyun ho raha hai? Belief is it will not happen to me.
Yeah.
And that is why people don't buy insurance, Shradha. But the solution for this is, since good, the government and insurance company partnership is a big thing. And that's why I always keep it to make it a point. Let me give you another example. Health has been done. The other one which I'm pushing very aggressively, but some shoots I'm seeing is parametric. See, floods happen. Economic loss, 30,000 crores. Insurance company pays what? 500 crores, 300 crores. That is all that's get covered. Who loses money? The common person, no, on the ground.
Yeah.
Why can't government and insurance company? And solutions are there. Just add 100, 200 rupees to the house tax, and you can have a good cover that something comes wrong, no, or goes wrong. Then insurance companies pay to Jandan account straight. So I think these kind of schemes have to come out more, and then I think it's a huge benefit to society and to a common individual. Having said that, I would request everybody who's watching, your show, please be covered. At least have 4 insurance for yourself individually. First is a good health cover. It's very, very critical. It will help you lead a life of dignity. It's so critical. Second is buy a cyber cover. People are losing money because of phishing and malware and what's happening on the payment bank. Please have a good cyber cover, retail cyber cover. Third, have a good personal accident cover. You'll be surprised to know for a 1 lakh personal accident cover, death only, premiums 45 rupees a year. Can you beat that?
Wow.
It is not about how much it costs, no? And finally, have your home covered. You spend so much time. I think you spend nearly 70-80% of what you earn building your home and putting stuff in that. And one incident can destroy it completely, about 15-20 years of your labor. So have that covered. So earnest request, as a hardcore insurer, I've seen so many claims and so many, things happening. Every individual should have at least this much.
Thank you, my God. You're saying it so amazingly and earnestly that I hope we all go and get and have a cover. Yeah, it's so important. Tapan, now that you're saying this, I was just speaking to my driver today, right? Like his daughter was unwell, and then he took her to one very big hospital here, and the bill came to around 90,000 rupees, and he said that I'm so happy that out of pocket I had to pay 12,000, but then the cover, it's like practically happening, and he was so grateful that he had got the insurance.
Shradha, is a question of life and death. I mean, prove it. And if you want to actually see, and you're such a high-profile journalist, do this once. Whenever you visit a hospital, don't go right now, things are bad, but whenever you visit a hospital, stand at the billing counter and you will see that people who have insurance, the way they walk in, get the best doctor, best treatment, and walk out compared to the ones who don't have. They're struggling to figure out how to make that payment. And there are many, because they can't afford, they don't go to good hospital, good doctors, they may actually die. So it's a question of life and death. It's a question of dignity. And for a cost of what? Less than a dinner for your family in a year. For that, you want to compromise on your dignity and the question of life and death. Is that critical, if I may simply put it? As your driver said, if you didn't have insurance, you would not have taken her to that kind of hospital, Maybe you avoided it, we couldn't afford it. And that could have led to more complication than her getting treated. I think that's as important as that.
Do you have data to show that because of the pandemic, unfortunate that it is, that people are getting more aware about health insurance? And then have you seen a surge?
So as I said, April I saw a negative growth, but May and June I see it picking up. Growth is moving up by about 100% or so in terms of the way people are looking at it. But 100% growth also in a small base is it good enough? Is the question that I have. No, can we confidently say 100% of Indians are covered? See, people below poverty line are covered with government. No, 40 crores, I said, is already covered. The one working are covered by the GMC. No, the corporates are covering it. What about the retail traders? What about individual business people? No, and the government also made it mandatory now for SMEs to have a GMC cover for their people. No, the problem is that why if you're not covered today, I would say just go and buy it. No, why even hesitate? What are the pension that you have? You can't afford like 5,000-10,000 rupees for yourself and your family, to take care if something goes wrong and you guys can get good treatment. What is holding you back? So though I see an uptake happening, but not to the level where it should happen compared to what the crisis is and the way things are going. I think I still feel it should actually be much higher than what it is today.
Tapan, from your lens, what do you think makes this company, your company, this firm stand out? Because it has created a very credible name for itself.
There are 2-3 things, Shradha, from day zero that we have been focused upon. As I said, since I'm founding employee, so now I can tell you all the stories of the company. I know every story of it. I've been part of most of it. One was that we shall be a claim-paying company. So we are very clear. We said that, our product is claims. It is not policy. If we service our people well, if we service our customers well, and we genuinely do it with a good heart, business will happen. So our obsession to pay claims, actually has been good, and that culture has got built in very well. And that is one culture which Bajaj Allianz General Insurance company has. That is there. Second part is, and if you look at our tagline, it says caringly yours. Second, I said when things go wrong, only then people come to us. At that time, we can't be like cut and dry. Our empathy has to be at the highest order. We should ensure, and if we don't have an empathy at the highest order, I don't think we are fit to be an insurer. And that's why we made the tagline very clear that we should have that care, and we should be doing whatever best we can do for our customers and our people also. Is both sides, not only customers. And the obsession is on our people side also. We should do whatever best we can do for our people. The third part is, which I actually tell in all my speeches, especially with people who join insurance industry. I said, if you have the habit of lying, please don't join insurance industry, because we don't sell tangible product. We only sell promises. What do we tell you? You pay a premium. If things go wrong, as per the contract, for this you are covered, we shall pay. That is all. No. Now let us say if we are in the habit of lying, how can we be a part of the insurance industry? If you're in insurance industry, you should be good at heart and you should be honest all times. So it's a habit. You can't be honest at work and be dishonest at personal life. It just can't happen. Want to be a good insurer? Pick this up. So I think these are the foundation stones that we laid. And I personally have been very, very obsessed about it. And I'm very happy to say that in the company this runs. So that's why when you ask any individual or Bajaj Allianz, these things will come out clearly whenever you do a survey, that this is what the company stands. I'm very happy with this, Shradha. So the rest is immaterial. The rest will happen.
And you said a very important thing, that how do you bring empathy and how do you have empathy in the business that you are in, and then you make sure that people have, just for other businesses and just for other entrepreneurs and people at large in the business world, if you can show and share with us 1 or 2 things which can drive empathy in the way we conduct ourselves and our businesses.
Okay, so I have a view here. So let me put it across. The view here is that when I was young, and a lot of young people also have the same view, then the view was that I have to rule the world. I have to own this. I have to buy this car. I have to have this house. I have to have this power.
I have to retire by this age.
Yeah. So those are the views that we all have, which is natural. It's perfectly fine. But as I mature into my career and into my life, it changes. Then the views are, what difference do I make to society? What difference do I make to people? How can I bring smiles to people? What can I do to make a difference to my country? And it changes over time. That is how it happens. That's a natural progression, and it happens for most people. Now imagine that if in the beginning I set up a business with the views that come later in my life, how successful I would be. I'd be very, very clear and focused from the very beginning. Now for me, I think the empathy factor came in a very simple way. I remember I was working in an insurance company, and there were some claim checks pending. And I used to be always obsessed. If you have settled the claim, the customer should get the money very fast. It's not digital era of today. That was a different era when fax was like a big innovation. I'm talking that era. So we had this physical claim checks, and I told my claim said, "Why have this checks not gone?" He said, "So the salesperson who was to deliver is not come as yet. The office was closing." So I told him, "Okay, I'm on the way. Which place is this?" He said the widow of a truck driver, and no, he died, and this is her claim. So I asked, what's the address? He said, this place. I said, okay, I'll drop by, And obviously, when I left office, and a couple of my colleagues would join me in the car, We had carpool not because it was a luxury, it was a necessity, because we couldn't afford so much, so we just go together. So then we went, and on the way, we thought we'd drop the check, and we went into the house of the widow, and we gave the check to her. And she had such tears of gratitude.
Yeah.
And I realized that day that it is not business that I'm in. I get paid to do good, and I better do it in a proper manner. I think that to me was a very big turning point of my life. So, like you said, empathy or something, a lot of times happens when you're sensitive, and the switch happens. When you're younger, I think you have a different view. But having walked this path for quite some time, I realized that when you have clear direction in terms of what purpose drives you, and if your empathy and sensitivity towards people around you, the business does good. So let me again give you an example which will clarify. I was the president of the Indo-German Chambers, so those times to lead the trade delegation to Germany, and people would talk about demographic dividend. And I used to be surprised, why are they talking about demographic dividend? Germany was negative, and India has a lot of potential, and those were the early shining India days. And I would be thinking, okay, good, they're talking about dividend, but if people in India don't get jobs, it will become a negative dividend. It can lead to social unrest. Interesting. I said it's easy to criticize, be it the government or anybody. What as an individual, as a professional, can I do? Then I said, okay, let's make a mission for ourselves. We'll provide employment to 1 million people. I came and told people, we'll provide employment. I said, how can we do so? I said, why can't we do? Insurance industry provides the maximum employment, on a variable basis, on a fixed basis, and so many people are doing good. Let's think about it. And that's how we created virtual offices. So we plan to open, let's say, 10,000 offices, and if 10,000 offices have 100 agents, we'll create 1 million jobs. And in India, where you have 10,000 towns, you don't have to go to villages to open 10,000 offices. And you'll be happy to know we already opened about 2,000 such offices and are already in the path of it. So by the time I hang my boots, I'll have created 1 million jobs. That is what, when the purpose is clear, Shradha, and you're very focused on how you deliver that, business happens good. And it sustains for a long time, and people get also motivated. So that is my tip from my personal experiences, how it happens and how it moves. It is not something I was born with this, I was also the normal youngster, in college thinking of ruling the world.
I wanted to also ask you about this thing that, insurance, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because like insurance agents come to and meet you in person, and generally it's a very offline transactional thing for all the filing and all might be online, but it's still a very offline thing. Have you seen that change completely in this pandemic?
Again, let me give my view. It's a very different view. There was a World Economic Forum report in the year 2000, I think 14, 15. We said that intermediaries will not exist. And I remember one of my interviews, I said in insurance intermediaries will exist. And people said, why everything will be digital? People will buy online. It's so easy, so convenient. I say, yeah, it is. Unfortunately, in insurance, what happens is, as I told earlier, people don't see the risk. But when somebody talks to them, they understand and they buy. So I always say, give me 5 minutes and I promise you will buy insurance. It's a conversational sale, which means that even if you're very digital, you still have to have a conversation. And a conversation is where you require intermediaries. So the process becomes digital, but conversation still requires that empathy, that conversation to happen. And this is why insurance, typically when you see how many efforts have been made, online insurance all across the world, some in auto, some places where you have transactional happenings, those may be moving to online. But most of the other insurances are still very much offline because you have to have a conversation. I think the day somebody gets up in the world that today I'll buy insurance and is super excited about it, that the intermediaries will be over.
Do you think during this pandemic, when the physical social distancing is a norm, how do you see some change in behavior?
So what happens is the intermediaries are able to send out links to their customers. They will still have conversations and purchase is happening. So online purchase has moved up, but not significantly. Today also, that's why I say the process has become digital, but still we have to have intermediaries who are able to get the process moving on. So the entire purchase has become no touch, but somebody is still having a conversation, be it on the phone or be it on a WhatsApp. That's how it's moving.
How do you see the insurance industry, Tapan, growing in India? Because we still, for the country that we are, the number of people that we are, still it's so It's like massively underpenetrated. Like,
Yeah. So if you, again, as I mentioned to you earlier, and this question came somewhere that if you look at the GDP, just 0.73 to no one lower than no, I think China and every other place. But what you forget is we're not counting number of lives that has got covered. If you look at, like, say, crop insurance, or we look at the Prime Minister Yojanas, or you look at the health scheme, you're already talking about 60, 70 crores of people got covered, in the past just 4 to 5 years time, which is huge population
yeah,
which is there. But yes, it is more from a partnership perspective which is happening. On an individual basis, that challenge still remains.
yeah,
And insurance company also in India still feels very less. If I look at, let's say, Singapore or UK, where you have like 500,000 companies, you're talking about like what, 60, 70 companies here. So I personally believe that a lot more companies will come to India. India is a growing economy. India will
yeah,
grow. It has demographic dividend. So if you look at any world report, people will bet on India. We may not be the fastest, but we are not also going to be the negative kind of
yeah.
environment. So we will be there. We are happy, contented people, and we'll keep on growing. I think that is my belief. So when you have a growth happening, insurance industry will be there. My only message through your channel would be, I think more government partnerships have to happen, and government is doing a good job. Having said that, and we have to pick up more issues like the pandemic issue which is there. How do we create a pool for pandemic when it hits
Yeah.
next? How do we create a pool for parametric, or do a parametric cover which is available? So those are the things that we have to start looking into more seriously, because I think the wider people we are covering, the more relief we are able to give to people when things go wrong. At an individual basis, insurance companies have to create conversations. They have to create distribution. They have to reach out to every individual, because I tell my people, imagine that your friend falls ill and he doesn't have money to get treated, and he cannot get treated well, and something goes wrong with him. How guilty will you feel as an insurer that you could not cover him? I think if you have that kind of perspective, then you will be obsessed to ensure that you are able to cover as many people as you can meet. So the industry will go through a very interesting time. Digitalization, I think industry is taken very well. You have a lot of companies now able to give a lot of digital solutions very good. Policies also, I think the way the regulator is approving policies, and the transformation happening in products also. So it's interesting times, Shradha. But my bet is, if you're a youngster, want to join any industry, join insurance. Next 30 years, 40 years, it will be interesting. So, like Shradha mentioned, penetration is still so low that I don't see that the industry not growing and not doing well as time progresses.
There's such a proliferation of jobs, na? So abhi lagta hai insurance is okay, but it is not cool and sexy, and there is this mindset, right? Like, what do you have to say? What do you have to tell to young people today of the country?
I like you as an interviewer. You ask very, very good questions, and close to my heart. So let's talk about the insurance industry. So I called my head HR, Vikram, I remember. So he was very happy that we have such high scores. We're the best place to work, great place to work. And I said, okay, Vikram. And then they did some survey in some university which was teaching insurance, and 75% students said that we want to join Bajaj Allianz. So he was super excited. He came to see the kind of branding we have, and you want to join us. I said, okay, you go to any college, any class, minus insurance class, and ask how many want to join insurance industry. Forget about Allianz. How many hands will you see? He was a bit disappointed. And then I said, ask them how many want to join Facebook or Google. So he said, okay, a lot of hands will go up. But do people have any clue what Facebook, Google is, or what kind of work environment is there, and what work environment is Bajaj Allianz? Do anybody? It is just the way people perceive. The point you mentioned.
Yeah.
That is why people think like this. Somehow insurance industry has not been very focused on building their brand as an employer. Now let's look at insurance industry. Who all do you think work here? You'll be amazed to know. First and foremost, let's say for a health team, we have doctors working, neurosurgeons, on roads. Yeah, we have nurses working. For our agri business, we have agriculturists, experts working. For our engineering business, we have power plant experts. We have, let's say, pharma expert. And if you look at our actuarials, they're the oldest data scientists around. Then we have data scientists. We have 300 IT guys, working. We have AL.
Tapan, I have to say actuarial. So rightfully you said actuarial. Kya hai? Data scientist, na? Data science, which is the coolest thing.
Yeah. They're the oldest data scientists. I say, no. Data science came later. Actually, they existed much before that. So we also have data scientists. You think of any degree that you have, and I promise you, in the insurance industry, there would be a position for that. Any degree that you have. Yeah. On top of it, we also have the MBAs, and we have all the BTechs and everybody. It is such a huge galaxy of stars, that we have. Because what you have to realize is that we insure everything from satellite to aeroplanes to every factory that you see, to ducks, to pigs, to crops. So imagine as an insurer, you talk to even any subject other than natural death, because that is covered by my life company. As a general insurer, I cover everything. So I can talk to you about what crop to sow when. I can talk to you about what can go wrong in pharma. I can talk to you about what power plant to come through. I can talk to you about the jets which are coming through, what can go wrong. I can talk about what boiler will explode. That is the kind of
Wow.
depth that an insurer has. And on top of it, I meet like millions of people.
Yeah.
Because as I said, it's a conversational sale. So
Yeah.
every day I meet so many people and I go through so many subjects. What are you looking for in life? You are looking for diversity of learning. You're looking for meeting people. You're looking for purpose. You're looking for whatever you look for in a career. Insurers provide that. Unfortunately, the image of insurer is of an agent who comes to you to sell. You push him back, he comes again. You push him back, he comes again. That is the image that gets created. He is just a friend and guy who's doing his best to ensure that you are covered and taken care of. At the back end, you have a galaxy of stars, who are preparing all this together.
Arogya Sanjeevani policy. It also covers the treatment cost of COVID-19. If you can tell us about that. This IRDAI has allowed general and standalone health insurers to offer Arogya Sanjeevani policy.
On a group basis also, yeah. So actually, what happens, Shradha, if you look at the health policy, which people had, the normal health policy, also covered COVID. So let me make this point very clear. So if you have a good health policy by any company, COVID is covered. The only thing could be that some people may cover ventilator charges, some are not covering in the old policy. That was before COVID actually happened. So if you have a good cover, just check with the insurance company what all is covered. COVID is covered. There's no exclusion on COVID. So if you have a cover, it's there. Now the problem was a lot of people not covered. That is where IRDAI came with specific COVID covers to ensure if you don't have any health policy, at least buy the COVID policy. So at least you're secure for this particular part of it. And that's why the regulators are coming out with these changes and make it convenient to sell it on group basis, to sell on individual basis. So the reach happens more and more and people have a good protection. I think that is where the regulators are coming from. But the point is, if you have a good health cover, you would be covered for COVID. Just check with your insurance company, what all does it cover. And if there's some lacking that, then look for a COVID cover on top of it. Otherwise, it's not required as such.
People with underlying health issues or comorbidities, can they get a COVID-19 cover?
Yeah, they can get. I think always declare truthfully to insurance company. See what happens is, and this is where the grievance comes in. If you're not declaring whatever you have and you take a cover thinking, I've got a cover now, it will get paid. When a claim happens, insurance companies check all this from record. So people who have declared clearly and have a cover, everything gets paid. Only if not declared, those claims get stuck. And that is where the grievance starts moving up. So my humble request is, please declare whatever you have. You will get a cover. I think on COVID, the issue is on survival if you have comorbidity. It is not about the expense of treatment. It's the same for whether you have that, you don't have that, and that is how it is. So I'll be surprised if companies don't provide that. They may put some loading on premium, or they may look some underwriting consideration, but they would provide that.
The data, the understanding you have about people buying insurance would be, I'm assuming, would be very high. Do you see adjacencies to the business of insurance that you can build, you can think of?
On the data that we have, So one thing you have to understand, and this again is one of my grievances with the regulator also. So if I look at, let's say, if you are into banking business and you have data, you can sell mutual funds, you can sell insurance, you can sell varied products under the blessings of the Reserve Bank of India. Have you ever seen an insurance company guy sell you a banking product or sell you a mutual fund?
No.
Never. Why? Do you think they're duffers? As per Insurance Act 1938, an insurance company cannot sell anything other than insurance. So all the data you have, you only sell insurance. That is as per Insurance Act 1938. Now it's an unfair act, because for all other financial services, they can sell on the data a holistic package to the customer. An insurer can only sell insurance, I think a lot of things are weighed against the insurer, but those guys are still giving a good fight, I would say.
But are you lobbying with the government to make sure that a change in this comes?
I am speaking about it. First, I have to speak to the regulator and then obviously the government also. It should change. It's not fair. everybody else can know.
Yeah, because an insurance company is the best place for me to buy a lot of health products.
Exactly,
Also, if nothing
Yeah.
else. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but we are not allowed to say anything else other than insurance, as per the Insurance Act. I think I'm very impressed with your question. A lot of people don't get this, no? But you have to always ask you this question: why can a banker sell all this? Why can't an insurance company sell this? Then you come to
Yeah.
the something is different.
Yeah, because banking can sell anything and everything now.
Yeah,
They're
with the
just
blessings of
building on top.
RBI. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here, even with the blessings of ID, you can't sell because it's an act issue. So it has to go through the parliament.
What has money personally meant to you?
Okay. As I said, different phases of life, different things. So when I was young, it was like, wow, I don't know, if I have money, I will like buy everything possible, no? And I think about a year back, no, about 2-3 years back, I wrote a blog, Money Kills. So let me explain this. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So I had gone to speak in IM Shillong. They called me as a guest speaker. So I never prepare for any of my speeches. I believe that it is not customer centric. Let me explain how. So when you
our conversation is also not prepared. You gave all the answers I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you prepare, then it's one-sided. No, you are saying what you want to say. The other person may not want to hear what you want to say. You still force it down because you have a position and they've invited you, which to me is very unfair. So none of my speeches, none of my conversations are prepared.
Wow.
So what I do is when I leave my like the place where I'm sitting to the podium, and the kids who are escorting me, I ask them some question, and then I frame on that basis what I would speak. So that day I asked them this question: how much money? I said, why did you join IM? No, they said it will get us a good job. So I said, how do you define a good job? They were quiet. I said, does it mean that the job which pays you good? Yeah, but yes, the job which pays you good. Normal, no, any youngster.
Yeah.
Said the same thing. Yeah. So I said, that means that you joined IM to make money. No, let's put it very simply like this. They said, yes, maybe yes. I said, okay, if the idea is to make money, then in your mind, there should be some amount of money that you make so much you will quit. No. See, you're not looking at a job to have a purpose or to solve something or create something. You're looking at a job to make money. So fair enough, and there's nothing wrong with that. So let's say you make whatever X amount, then you'll quit because you made the money and it's over. The story's over with the job and the IM degree that you have. So they were a bit stumped and they said, we have not thought about it like this. I said, okay, whatever comes to your mind, tell me any number. They gave me a number, and by the time I reached the podium, and that day I gave a speech. I said, let's look at people who made more money than you ever imagined, that you want to make, and let's see what they did with that money. So I said, let's start with some history. Emperor Ashok was the most powerful emperor that India had. If you look at his empire right from Afghanistan. Yeah. But after his battle of Kalinga, the most fought battle that he wanted, and he won that battle, he gave up everything. Look at Bill Gates, look at Asim Premji, look at Warren Buffett. They made more money than you can ever imagine. Yeah, what they did with their wealth after they made the money, they are either giving it all away or plan to give it all away. Over time. So money in limited quantity serves you. Money in huge is like fire; it kills you. Be careful. Wow. Yeah, if you get more than what you require, use it for society. Don't keep it to yourself. It can be dangerous because if you want to understand this. Look at some of the Maharajas and look at some of the emperors of India who did not distribute their wealth, or look at some business people who did not distribute their wealth, and after 3-4 generations, what happens to them? And look at business people and individuals who distributed wealth, what happens to them after a couple of generations? They'll get bounced. So I think that is what money means to me. It serves a purpose. Use it for the purpose. Don't hoard.